So I'm just gonna start it from the very beginning of the events that led me to being in a DC jail for a homicide and a unregistered firearm. So as I got older, I kind of built up a protection team, and we protected celebrities, we protected bars, nightclubs, et cetera, some pretty big names. Cannabis industry started booming in the District of Columbia. All right. So what did that mean? That mean it was opportunities for everybody, man, including somebody that was in the protection field, like myself. So me and my team, we jumped right on it. I hear a truck, black truck. I look immediately. I took like 2 steps, boom, 2 steps, and ducked down. I went to a bar and I right up the street, but it was far enough where as though I can just be off the scene. So I went into the bar, had a drink. What's up, y'all, man? We're gonna get right into it, man. Part 2, I eliminated the threat. First, I want everybody to like, comment, and subscribe. Show the channel some love, and I appreciate everybody who is tuning into my new series, the Choppa Stories. We're gonna start part 2, I eliminated the threat. So, from the last series, I went to a bar, you know, had a drink. I just finished being in a shootout. So I needed something stiff. And I'm getting phone calls out the from my brothers, from cousins, from my right-hand man, Choppa. He was right there at the spot when the homicide occurred. And a lot of people concerned, a lot of people kind of trying to give me, you know, some direction or what to do next. But I only had one thing in mind. Any young brother that been in this situation in the District of Columbia was to get out of town. You know, that's the only thing I had in my mind, and to make sure that my babies and my wife was situated. So I'm at the bar, I'm waiting on my team. Of course, I called the family and let everybody know I was gonna be getting out of town, because that was my thought process. I didn't look at it as I was defending myself. I didn't look at it as it was going to be a self-defense case and, you know, I was going to get through this. No, I was in the middle of U Street, a very busy area in Washington, D.C. And at the time, I didn't believe we had self-defense laws. So I was getting out of there. Yeah, I got family down south. I was going to duck off. You know, this is where my mind was. I'm just trying to give y'all kind of a small piece of how I was feeling. So I'm at the bar, I'm calling my team, you know, seeing if they straight, and I'm telling them, yo, y'all meet me at this location. My team got trapped into the building because it was a homicide occurred. So they yellow taped the place and they boarded the place up, and they was trying to get inside of the location on Florida Avenue, 811 Florida Avenue. The feds wanted to get into the building. So I'm getting calls from my team like, yo, what you want me to do? I'm like, man, y'all ain't doing nothing, just walk on out. But I guess there was vendors there, you know, they had product there, so they was really shook up. So they wasn't trying to do that. So, you know, feds already got a warrant because homicide just occurred. Like, they got a warrant like that. So they bust in the spot and they took everybody in for questioning. So I'm still at the bar. I'm waiting on, like I told you guys from the previous episode, I had a team around 15 people. So I had a few of my top team members meet me at the bar, Elroy's. Kind of let them know the arrangements that I was having and what was my next move, and kind of leaving some order within the team. So we had a small meeting, and, you know, I finally called my wife and I told her, hey, feds might be coming knocking on that door, kicking on that door. You know, I had to defend myself, and somebody ended up dying. So my wife arrived and she was like, okay, whatever you need to do, whatever you need me to do, I'm there. Just, she was ready to ride with me. I'm like, no, I don't want to just, go that far yet. So I'm getting on the road, man. I'm driving. I'm going deep down south where I can't be found, man. That was just the thought process I had. I'm driving, man. Go past about VA. I get about 3 hours in, man. I said, man, I ain't running, man. I ain't leaving my family, not leaving my babies. I said, I'm gonna fight this. And that's what I did. I turned the car around, and I ended up going to one of our clubhouses in Baltimore. I didn't go straight home. Told a few of my team members to meet me there, my brothers, just so we can kind of get a head start on this and get ahead of it. So met at the clubhouse, ended up getting drunk as a fish, man. That's what you call a long night, man. It was everything was on camera. I was in the street dancing with my pistol. There was shots flying everywhere. It was a long night. We ended up not coming up with no kind of plans, just passing out. I remember sleeping on a hard wooden board, and I woke up and said, man, I ain't built for this. I'm going home, man. I deal with it, man. I'm going home. So I went to have some breakfast. I took home. So no feds came to the house, which was strange because I know everything was on camera, and they already had witnesses. It was witnesses everywhere, man. And a couple of my guys have been questioning. They had pictures of me, so it was quite strange why a warrant wasn't put out for me almost immediately. So I'm home and just kind of coming up with a plan. I know they coming, so first thing I do is start liquidating my funds, start going into my stocks, took out money from my stocks, and took out money from my other investments. And I went to go call a lawyer. I always use Joseph Valerio, but he's stationed in Maryland, so he couldn't really help me, but he did refer me to a lady named Nikki Lotzi. That was my representative, but she wasn't cheap. She was in the District of Columbia, and basically what she told me, if it was a homicide involved, if there was a homicide involved, it could cost up to $80,000 to $100,000. And so luckily I was able to come up with the first part of her money, which is 10 grand. And I hustled myself to get it. I had a couple family members, donate toward the cause. Had a couple friends, drop me a couple dollars, and the rest I liquidated everything, man. So I was at zero. I didn't have anything. So I talked to my lawyer, and she's pretty, laid back about it. She pretty much communicated with the prosecutor, and the prosecutor ended up saying, well, we're not going to prosecute Mark Manley. So that was a big relief for me, right? I'm feeling relieved, because for weeks, I just, my stomach was balled up, and I was looking over my shoulder, wondering when they were gonna come. So I continued life. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to get my gun permit and stuff like that. Since I don't have any charges, You know, as far as from that incident, you know, of course I had, you know, from where I'm from, man, you know, I got misdemeanors and I got, you know, charges from assaults and minor offenses like that, you know. So I wanted to kind of learn how to get my permit. So first thing I did was apply for my permit in DC, right? So I applied for my permit in DC. Went up there and everything. 500 Indiana Avenue. Went up there, boldface, you know. I went and put the application in. I went to go purchase the firearm because in DC you gotta go out of state to buy the firearm. Then they send it to DC. So I went through all the motions. Just I'm educating myself because I wanna learn how to get legit. You know, I always wanted to learn how to get legit, but no one's ever taught me. And I guess, you know, I finally was put in a position where I need to learn immediately. You know, sometimes we don't try to fix things until they're like at the brink of an extinction, you know, when they're about to break. So, everything was cool. I get a call about 2 weeks later from MPD. They say, "Hey, Mr. Manley, how you doing? Your application just been approved." I'm like, "Okay, all right, thank you so much." I hung up the phone and I just sat there and kind of in my own thoughts. I said, man, that was a weird call, and it just, I could feel the energy was off. So I called my dog, Javon. Yeah, J2 Funny. Shout out to J2 Funny. Follow on my Instagram. I said, "Hey man, drive with me up to go supposedly pick up my gun permit." I said, "Something don't seem right." I said, "I'm pretty sure they about to set me up, you know, because the process was way too easy, you know." And I get there. As soon as I sat down, it was about 20 officers came bum rush me, man. And I looked at Javon. I said, "It was time to face the music, man." I said, "Call my lawyer, Nick DeLassi." You know. So he had to make sure, like, you know, my wife had got the news, you know, so she wouldn't know what's going on. So I'm glad he was there so he can kind of give my wife a heads up and assist her with, you know, with taking care of a lot of the things I needed to take care of. So I'm in the DC jail. I am, you know, going through the process, going through the bullpen. Man, I get in that joint. They try to give me go do a shower. It was poop in the shower. You know, it was roaches all in the cell, man. When I finally got my cell, it was roaches crawling on me, trying to sleep. No pillows, just I'm sleeping on my shoe. It's roaches crawling into my shoe, and like it was, man. So this wasn't my first time in jail, right? Because I've been in and out of jail since a teenager. I got in a lot of fights, you know. Since I was like 14 years old, I was in and out of fights. But I can honestly say, you know, from PG, from Highsville, from 7 locks, DC jail was the worst jail I ever been to in my life. I mean, like, we got to do something about that. So anyway, I go see the judge a couple days later, and he immediately shut it down. You know, tells my lawyer, "No, we're gonna keep him." Like, so I wasn't worried. I seen the look on his face when he seen me, and I knew. I said, no, I ain't going home today. The way he looking at me, you know, like I'm some criminal, like I'm some out of control man. So anyway, I get back to my cell. Detectives come in, banging on my cell, coming to bring me into the investigator's office, in the investigator room, and they gave me this paper. I said, man, I ain't signing nothing. I ain't saying nothing. And he took the paper back, and he said, I already knew you weren't gonna say nothing. I said, man, you and my lawyer communicated, man. Why am I even here? And I swear, the detective said, man, I'm so sorry, Mark. This came from high up. We got nothing to do with this. It's out of our hands. This came from a detective that was in my case. That was the homicide detective. He said it came from high up. I guess they just don't want us knowing our laws, defending ourselves, and be free. That's my suspicion on the matter. So anyway, man, I talked to my lawyer. My lawyer come see me. I'm happy to see her, man. She come hit me with an extra. She like pretty much had me by the. She like, you know, I'm gonna need some more money. You want me to go out here and fight this case for you? I ain't had no options. So my mom, they was able to, you know, come up with the lump sum that needed to be done for her to keep going. You know, shout out to my mother, man. She, you know, we ain't grow up rich. You know, we grew up pretty poor. You know, we grew up in homeless shelters, and my mother, when it came from making sure I had a lawyer, me and my brothers, showing up to court, just being there, she always made sure that we was good, man. I ain't never had no public defender, you know, and my mother didn't have it, you know, but she made sure that I had some proper representation going in that courtroom. So anyway, when I'm inside, my wife and everybody, they getting all our paperwork together, right? That's why I didn't tell y'all. A couple weeks before the incident, I put in an application to own a security company. You know, I've been doing this for over 10 years, but I never put in any kind of paperwork. I just been doing it so long without paperwork, I guess I got comfortable. But 2 weeks before, I put in the paperwork, and I also, when I went up there to put in the paperwork, I recognized somebody that was doing the approvals. She was around the same age as me, and she was actually good friends with my family. And so I hit up on Instagram. I'm like, hey, what's up? You know, and she let me know, like, yeah, don't worry, I got you, you know, woo, woo, woo. So, you know, after everything went down, you know, I talked to her, and she gave me all the inside scoop, you know, what's going on. Like, FBI called up here, you know, I guess because my name, Mark Meredith Manley. My uncle was named Mark Meredith Manley, and he was murdered unarmed by the FBI. So they called the security company, the business that does the approvals, and was asking questions, you know, like really looking into my case. And I'm not sure what they were thumbing through, but she said the FBI definitely called and was trying to get information just to see when I filed the paperwork. I don't know if they was trying to get me on some organized crime because, you know, I did protection, you know, and that's it. So she had her bosses and everything, they put my paperwork on hold, you know, because the detective said they wasn't going to pursue the case. Prosecutor said they wasn't going to pursue the case. So she went ahead and pushed my paperwork through so I could be a legitimate security company. Shout out to her, man, because that girl saved my life. She saved my life, man. So when I go see the second judge, we came in fully loaded. The prosecutors didn't know anything about it, all right? You know, because they painted me out to be a monster. They lied on the arrest affidavits. They was lying on paperwork. And they just made it sound like I just was I'm just out of control, you know? They made me seem like I was out of control. And once my lawyer, you know, hit him with the, oh, okay, well, let's talk about the 4 armed men, armed robbers. Let's talk about the 4 armed robbers that were attempting to cause chaos and havoc on U Street. Let's talk about what if Mr. Manley didn't, let's talk about what if Mr. Manley didn't have a firearm on him. Let's talk about if Mr. Manley wasn't there. And let's talk about, pulled out the paperwork. Let's talk about Mr. Manley is an owner of Manley Protective Services. Here's the paper right here. Signed by the mayor. Signed by the police chief. Prosecutor's face was like I said, yeah, I'm going home, man. I'm going home. I gave my mom just like tears in the courtroom. My cousin up there, he drunk. My brothers, all my brothers, you know, and my lawyer was going off so much. Nikki Lottie, shout out to Nikki Lottie. If you're ever in a situation where you had to defend yourself, y'all go see her. She's a pit bull. She was going off so much. The judge had to say, all right, that is enough. You made your point. Mr. Manley, you are free to go. And you hear the whole courtroom clapping. And my mother just broke. My mother broke down crying, man. She's in joyful tears. And I remember, you know, just thinking back, like, you never know, like, who's in your corner. You never know who's fighting for you. Because if that girl didn't push my paperwork through, I wouldn't have a land. If that girl didn't push that paperwork through, I wouldn't have a leg to stand on. And I wouldn't be here today to tell you this story, because I'll be behind bars, because they wanted to burn a young black man. They didn't want this information to get out because nobody in the District of Columbia knew we had middle ground law, which is a self-defense law in the Washington, D.C. area. Nobody knew that, you know, because that information never went public. That information never hit the news. I was raised in a DMV all my life. And we always knew that if you catch a body in DC, don't matter if it was in self-defense, you're going to jail, because we never had self-defense laws. It wasn't until DC started gentrifying, okay, so that we started getting permits to carry, until we started getting self-defense laws to go with those permits. That happens a few years ago, right before I caught a justified homicide. And I rest my case. Stay tuned for part 3. Stay dangerous, be smart.